Are you struggling with your video content ideas? I've pulled together a few of my favourites to share with you just as a starting point. So get a pen and some paper and you can rob these for yourselves and make them fit within your own business. The easiest ways to start making video content for your own business is to look at the processes you do day in and day out. And you can do this a couple of ways as well. You pick one, write down the steps that you do, then figure out what shots you need in order to show that. And from there, you have a step-by-step, and you can have those shots by themselves and talk about day-to-day or the business you run. It doesn't have to even talk through the process of what you're doing. Or you can do step one, I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. This impacts the business like this, blah, 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 blah. But totally up to you. This helps. One, I think it's a good way to break down your processes and makes you reflect on your processes that you do all the time. It's also really good for like showing a bit behind the scenes of things that the general public might not know takes place in your industry, because that's always really fascinating and we love to have a little peek behind the curtain. This kind of style of content as well is also really good if you don't want to carve out additional time to make video content. You're not having to go, okay, Wednesday afternoon I'm going to film for 2 hours and this is all the content I need to make in those 2 hours. You've got a little bit more flexibility about it because you're doing it in parallel with actual work. It is also something that's very easy to just do day to day. It's very much rinse and repeat. You're going to do pretty much the same or similar kind of things. And then you can throw in things that are more irregular when the time comes around, which is always fun. Next, I find is something that is a bit more out of the box. So my suggestion is things that are related to your business or industry, but aren't directly connected to your business. So for example, in wills and probate, someone I've actually seen on TikTok is doing this, but they dig into the history of whether it's local historical wills or from more affluent areas, but they go in and they look at all the tea. So it's like, how much did the mistress get, who got the house, which kid was the favourite, was there a kid no one knew about that is now in the will, all those kinds of like little dramas. This really plays on people's curiosity, people being nosy. They love this, all of the gossip. And because it's historical, obviously it doesn't really impact anyone. You don't need to get a release form signed, but it's still really, really interesting to see how people live and how that affected all that other stuff. And it just makes wills and probate a bit sexier, which is what you want to do. Makes it a bit more interesting, makes it a bit more relatable, I guess, because for me particularly as a 27-year-old, I'm not really thinking about my will. Maybe I should be, but I'm interested in what people in the 1920s were putting in their wills, or the weird requests that they get. Definitely something to look into, whether that is historical things, historical drama around your industry, whether it's weird policies or regulations that are still intact today, or whether there's current gossip that you can put in and make really fun and interesting. You could also do weird statistics or quirky anomalies that happen, or anything else you can think of that is industry related but not specifically connected. This idea though will take obviously some research time, will take time out of your day to make, but if you do a stack of research, you can do a stack of filming, which will make it easier, and then you can just schedule it out and Bob's your uncle, you've got content for the month. My next suggestion is one that Americans do quite well and we suck at as Brits. This is getting your clients involved with your content, and obviously there's ways to entice this, whether that's doing freebies, having it at a discount. One example of this is a financial advisor who does YouTube and TikTok, and he literally goes through people's bank statements and is looking at the interest percentage they have on their cars, or like how much they're paying out, how much debt they have, how they can solve it. And again, it's playing on that, people being nosy, people want to see how other people live. And it's just fascinating to see how it all goes through. He's obviously got quite a personality to him as well, which makes it quite funny. But this is certainly something that will make you stand out if you can get your clients on board, get them involved, and show a bit more behind the scenes of how you actually work with your clients as well, showing the process of working with clients. Because not only is it that fun, gossipy, curiosity enabling content, but it also shows potential clients the actual trajectory through your service as well, which I think takes away a little bit of the mystery, can ease some anxieties, can be very helpful in that aspect. Again, this is one where you're already going to be going through the process, so you're not having to take time out of your day and plan specifically to film content. You might have a bit more time needed to do setup, or whether you want to hire someone for it and make it a bit flashier, like that's up to you. But if you can do it with yourself and a phone and your client, it will work all the same. Or if you kind of want to be in it, get their consent to talk about very specific client issues that you've solved, and you can talk through that process and make it a really good story. Again, with the client's consent, really good content and something that's really interesting. And finally, this isn't necessarily an idea for the kind of content you can make, but if you are already making content and you want to be really specific about the target market you're looking to entice, make it really specific. Like, go super niche with how specific the content is. For example, if you're a financial advisor, you know that 70% of your customers play golf. Take your camera to a golf course, talk through all that content on a golf course, get really specific with your golf jargon, influential people in the golf community maybe, like even if it's like locals, say you've got a really tight-knit golf community, I don't know, in your clubhouse, whatever it is, get them involved with your content and really drive that like very specific niche. And from those few ideas, you should have a starting point to some video content at least. If you're still struggling though, drop a comment, drop me a message, whatever it may be, and we can have a bit more of a chat about what could work for you. I'm well up for bouncing ideas off. If you have any inspiration and you wonder how it could work for your business, like just drop me a message. I will always help out. It's definitely something I love, is the ideation side of video content. It's the most fun part for me, and I love finding out about the people's businesses and how they want to show them. So yeah, get into it, get those ideas down, start making that content.